Just waiting there. Sorry, are we okay? Okay. I'm just going to pass over to John now for the notice of the meeting and the attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of the Council, which will be a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically in the Council chamber. Today, Wednesday, the 13th of December at 2 o'clock. Alderman Cook.
Here.
Alderman Guy. Alderman Hussey.
All right.
Alderman Carrigan.
Line, John.
Alderman McCready.
Online, John.
Alderman McMorris.
Here.
Alderman Middleton.
Here.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Here.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Here.
Councillor Lillian Barr.
Yeah, online, John.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Online, John.
Councillor Boggs.
And Shaw, John.
Councillor Boyle.
Here.
Councillor Cusick.
Online, John.
Councillor Deeney.
And Shaw.
Councillor Devine.
And Shaw.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy.
And Shaw.
Councillor Sandra Duffy. Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Fleming.
And Shaw.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart.
And Shaw online, John.
Councillor Heaney.
And Shaw.
Councillor Hutton. Councillor
me?
Jackson.
And Shaw. Sorry, John, I'm on the phone.
Councillor Leonard.
And Shaw.
Councillor Logue.
And Shaw.
Councillor McDade. Councillor McGinley. Councillor McGowan.
And Shaw, online, John.
Councillor McHugh.
And Shaw.
Councillor Mooney. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Farrell.
And Shaw.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney. Councillor Neelis.
Shaw.
Thank you, members.
Thank you. Item number 3 now, the broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone present at this meeting in the Gaeltacht or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council's privacy notice may be found on the Council's website at www.derrystrabane.com. I'd like to now move on to item 4, and that's a declaration of members' interests. No. We'll swiftly move on then to item 5, which is chairperson's business. I'm going to just, I have a number of items for chairperson's business. So I'm just going to read them hopefully in the order that I got them. And if I have missed anyone, please let me know because it's just been an extremely busy morning and yesterday and I'm just trying to get the list together. So first of all, the first item that I have is on Gaza, Palestine and Bethlehem, and that would be Sandra Duffy and Catherine McDade. The second item was regarding, the second item was regarding Kathleen McLaughlin, 100 years old, and the Quorum Centre, and that would be Caroline. Yeah. Also, I had the Quorum Centre from Paul. Yeah. The next one would be an item regarding the dog pound, and that's Nairi. Yeah. And finally, the last one is the RMIB, and that was from Ashley. So I haven't missed anyone, haven't I? No. That's good. Now, I'll just start off with my own chairperson's business, which is, it's brief, but I want to congratulate all the team in the business and culture, and I suppose throughout council, for the wonderful Christmas festival and light switch on. It was absolutely fabulous. So thank you to all those who worked on that. I also, at this time of year, I want to thank all organisations, both statutory and community and voluntary, for their exceptional work throughout the year. And I also want to recognise the work of all the many volunteers who will be working tirelessly throughout the Christmas period too as well. And finally, for myself, I just want to remind you all that Friday the 15th at 12:30, we're going to be able to enjoy the council's choir down at the Strand Road office. And it's Christmas Jumper Day. So if you all want to participate in the festivities, and any monies raised at that will be going to my charities. So thank you all very much. So I'm going to go now to Sandra and
right.
Catherine. Sorry.
Can I just come in? One of the issues you raised?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, apologies. Just regarding Christmas light switch on, just to concur to say they're absolutely fantastic, but just to raise an issue that was raised with myself on the day of the Strabane switch on, as the parade was changed at the very, very last minute in Strabane, because it was supposed to come down Castle Place and then go up Castle Street, but that didn't happen. And there was a lot of children and families stand waiting. And then unfortunately Santa didn't come down that way, he just went straight up and around. So it's just if that happens again, can it just be addressed to the public more clearly, so the public just don't know they stand there. But other than that, again, a fantastic Christmas switch on again. And just also while I'm here, just to congratulate Paul Boggs and all Sinead McDermott, Anne-Marie McDermott, and I say Paul Boggs and the crew for another absolutely fantastic day on the Melmite Road. It brings such fantastic cheer around Strabane. So just congratulations again and well done on another brilliant event. So thank you, mate.
Yeah, I'm sure there would have been good reason for that, but of course communication is key. So I've no doubt the council officers will speak to you about that at another time. But sorry, first before I go to the next item, I just want to wish Eamon O'Donnell on his retirement from Enoch Youth Forum. He's certainly Enoch Youth Forum. He certainly played a big part there. So very best wishes on your retirement, Eamon. So Sandra, it's over to you now.
Good Mayor, and just to concur with what you were saying there around the Christmas lights, I had family over for Christmas there last weekend, and the city was really looking beautiful. I'm sure Strabane, Castleberg and all our villages are as well, but the city is definitely looking absolutely stunning. So congratulations to all the team that were involved in that. Mayor, thank you for allowing me in under Chairperson's business again. I have sent a short proposal to the committee section, but if you allow me just to address the issue, it is again in relation to Gaza. And as a city and district, we must again raise our voices in support of the people of Gaza and Palestine, who continue to suffer brutality at the hands of the Israeli regime. We continue to witness in full sight of the world the bombardment of homes, refugee camps, hospitals, schools and churches by Israel. This has seen the death toll now rise to well above 17,000 people, with over half of them being children. We cannot remain silent in such circumstances. The Taoiseach has previously stated that such actions cannot go without consequences. But what are the consequences? We have seen the US continue to use its veto to the demand for a full ceasefire and talk that Israel will be allowed to continue their murderous campaign for possibly another month or more. The people of Gaza, the children of Gaza, cannot sustain these circumstances. The UN and the World Health Organization and others have called this out as the worst humanitarian crisis the world has ever seen. The images of young men being rounded up naked and blindfolded is barbaric. The scenes of families trying to access food, water and vital supplies is absolutely heart-wrenching. And the scenes of murdered children being carried by their families can only move us all to tears and a sense of hopelessness not felt before. The first consequence of these actions should be the reiteration of our demand for an immediate ceasefire, for the immediate release of all hostages, and for the unconditional adherence by all parties to their commitments under international law. Ireland should also exercise our right to refer the actions of Israel to the prosecutor of the court for the purpose of requesting an investigation into any acts of war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide that have occurred in Gaza over the past 2 months. I also ask Mayor for a book of solidarity to be opened to allow the people locally here to express their wishes of solidarity to the people of Gaza and Palestine. As we move into the Christmas period, where people's thoughts turn to their families, we are all feeling helpless and thinking about the children of Gaza and what we can do practically. And I am so proud of this city and district to see so many rallies, vigils and fundraising efforts locally to assist the people of Gaza. And I would ask people again to support tomorrow evening's silent vigil in Chantal for the children of Gaza. But the people of this council area would also like a means to send messages of support and solidarity. And like when we open books of condolence to allow people to express their thoughts and prayers, a book of solidarity would allow us to do likewise. I know that this is unprecedented, but we are in unprecedented times, Mayor. So if, with your indulgence, I could make that proposal. Gormagat.
Can I have a seconder, please, for that proposal? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, and I would have been happy to second that proposal as well. I think that it's war crimes that's happening, so they need to be referred to the International Criminal Court, and a book of solidarity is completely appropriate, and we'd be happy to support the motion. So I just wanted to take this opportunity, similar to Councillor Duffy, just to send solidarity to the innocent people living in fear in Palestine. Like many other people here today, I'm going to see my children in nativities and Christmas carols this week, but people in Palestine, the families live in fear that they're going to be killed any minute. This year, Christmas celebrations in Bethlehem have been cancelled because of the ongoing genocide in Gaza and because the city has lost so much of its tourism due to the siege in the West Bank. We live in the city of civil rights, and I think we need to be doing everything we can to stand up and continue to speak up and keep having the conversation about how wrong this genocide is until it stops. Bethlehem, the city internationally recognised as the birthplace of Jesus, has cancelled its Christmas celebrations in solidarity with its Palestinian brothers and sisters. And I think we could continue to show our solidarity by starting the process to become twin cities with Bethlehem. And that's why I plan to bring a motion to the same effect in January. Jesus Christ is the most well-known refugee in this planet's history. The Middle East has experienced conflict and division for centuries, and it's up to us to support every single effort to bring peace and understanding so that future generations aren't forced to leave their homes and seek refuge. But for now, what I want is I hope that everyone in this chamber will join me in sending their strength and solidarity to all the innocent people losing their lives on an hourly basis in this horrific and unjust war. Thank you.
Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Duffy, for bringing the motion. And I completely support the two parts of it. I think that the last week has exposed Israel's barbarity again. It's unprecedented barbarity. I think it was disgraceful that the United States voted against a ceasefire at the UN Security Council meeting. Disgracefully, the British government abstained. I think it's disgraceful that the Israeli government and the United States government voted almost on their own at the UN General Assembly meeting this week against an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. And again, disgracefully, the British government abstained. I think that the world very clearly sees what's happening, which is a genocidal war where Gazans now face starvation. More than 19,000 people in Gaza have been killed. Close to 9,000 children have been slaughtered. And the United States government is backing this to the hilt, absolutely disgracefully, even though we can see that growing numbers of Americans are completely opposed to what the US government supports. And look, there was a discussion yesterday in Westminster. People may have followed it. It was about ending sales of arms to Israel by the British government. And I think fair play to the MPs that brought that forward. And disgracefully, we have the DUP in Westminster defending those arms sales, telling us that the British government that Israel is operating under international law, when it's very, very clear that there is collective punishment to the entire population of Gaza. And that's clear not just from what Israel is doing in terms of killing people and slaughtering them and starving them, but it's also clear from what the ministers and the army is actually saying about what their goal is. So I would just like to make a small amendment to the proposal, which is that, look, there are marches this weekend here in the north, in Belfast and in Dublin on Saturday. Both marches are going to the US consulate. Both marches are organised by the Ireland-Palestine Solidarity Campaign, and both marches are focused they're going to the US consulates in both cities, and they're focused on calling for Joe Biden to end his support for war crimes. And the US is now completely complicit. So in that, Israel, I agree with Councillor Duffy's proposal that Israeli attacks, they are not just Israeli attacks. This is the American government now carrying out these attacks. It's very clear from the rushed arms shipments that the US government has done in the last week, breaking its own laws to get more weapons to Israel so it can slaughter more children. That the US now stands between the world and what Israel is doing. And I think we have to maximise our pressure on the American government. And here in Ireland, we can actually play a role in that. Nearly 20,000 Irish citizens now have signed a petition calling for Biden, saying that they will end their support for Joe Biden's candidacy in 2024 if he doesn't reverse the US's opposition to an immediate ceasefire. So I'm just going to, I think I've sent that through to Paul already, if we can put that up on the screen. Thank you.
Could I have a seconder for that amendment, please?
I second it, Councillor Barr.
Okay. Would anyone else like to speak on the matter? On the amendment, sorry, first. No? Right, well, Catherine, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. No, I wanted to come on to say we're happy to support the amendment as well. I think we need to be doing everything we can to put an end to the war. And if this is a way of putting pressure on the US government to stop funding Israel, then that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Right, I'm going to take a vote on the amendment. Is everybody in agreement with the amendment?
Yeah,
No,
against.
right. Okay, John, can I ask you to take the vote, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Cook.
Against.
Is Alderman Guy on?
Yes, I'm against, John.
Alderman Hussey? Against. Alderman Carrigan?
Against, John.
Alderman McCready?
Against.
Alderman Morris?
Against, John.
Alderman Middleton,
Against?
Alderman Wilkinson,
Against.
Councillor Jason Barr,
For.
Councillor Lillian Barr,
For.
Councillor Raymond Barr,
For.
Councillor Boggs, Councillor Boyle,
For.
Councillor Cusick,
For.
Councillor Deany, Councillor Devine, Councillor Donnelly, Councillor Alex Duffy, Councillor Sandra Duffy, Councillor Farrell,
For.
Councillor Fleming, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Harkin, Councillor Hart, Councillor Heaney, Councillor Hutton, Councillor Jackson, Councillor Leonard, Councillor Logue, Councillor McDaid, Councillor McGinley, Councillor McGowan, Councillor McHugh, Councillor Mooney. Just checking if Councillor Murphy is on. Councillor Norris,
For.
Councillor O'Farrell, Councillor Riley, Councillor Tierney, and Councillor Nealis. Thank you, members. I've recorded 31 for and 7 against, so the amendment passes.
Thank you.
Sorry, you couldn't give us that back, John, that vote,
The numbers?
the numbers.
31 for.
31 for and 7 against.
Sandra, would you like to sum up now?
This council, a while back, and we've since had legal opinion on it, that we can proceed with this at the last workshop meeting. So I'd like that included.
Or if you can just submit that to the committee there so it can be put up on screen for people to read.
Emails.
Okay, can I have a seconder for that, please?
We just have another.
Just going to hold on a wee minute. All right, we have a seconder. Thank you. Okay, members, we have an amendment which has been seconded. Will I take it that the vote is the same as the last time, or should John take the vote? But before we do that, John just has a piece of information he wants to share with you.
Thank you, Mayor. And just in relation to the latest amendment in particular, just to advise members that as normal, should this pass today, we would be bringing back a paper setting out the implications of implementation should it pass today. So it's just to advise members of that.
Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, motion was passed before, and it did come back. And the report, and that report isn't going to be any different than the previous report that came in, John. And our legal opinion at that time was that if this was to pass, it requires an 80% majority, and it will be fine if it has an 80% majority. So my proposal would be put it to the vote, and if the chamber sends it and passes it and an 80% majority, then it's fine. It doesn't require coming back again.
Councillor Gallagher, John is just going to update members on your previous comment there.
Yeah, no, sorry through you, Mayor, the member's quite correct. On that basis, the vote on the amendment would be subject to a QMV, qualified majority vote of those who are present voting, 80% of those who are present voting. But just like any other amendment or any other notice of motion, it would still be subject to a paper coming back with the implications of implementation.
Thank you for that, John. But that's the point I'm making is we've been through this before. We know the implications. The report is there. We've had this report come back in the chamber before, and at that time it was a legal constraint. That has now been clarified, and the report. Many times do we have to go to an 80% majority? That's the sort of point that I'm making.
If I could just come in, Councillor, from what I'm hearing, we as a council, we need to know what we're spending. We have to get agreement regarding the spend, regardless of what we have agreed to do. We need to then agree on the implementation, which would be financial spend too. So that's what would be getting brought back to agree, not actually that we have agreed to do it, but we need to agree the spend. If there's any more than that.
But just to point on that, making us, if we agree And we require an 80% majority. If that's what we require to implement this proposal, then that should be taken, given the time today, right? So the point being is, how many times do we need an 80% majority for each occasion?
It's a very valid point, Councillor Gar, through you, Mayor. So the issue about 80% majority is that the 80% majority issue wouldn't happen again. But just like any notice of motion, there will be implications in terms of how it is taken forward, the cost of it, the nature of the material, for example, what it would say. That would all have to come back in a report to council, but it would not be required, and an 80% majority would not be required at that stage.
That's the clarification I was seeking. Well, the 80% majority agrees to implement this. This will be implemented.
We'll move on now, and I forgot where I was, as usual, but Alderman McMorris, you've indicated you would want to speak. So,
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. Sorry, I'm trying to get used to these. I have to take them off. Mayor, again, just can I reiterate about the one-sidedness of the motions and the amendments that's been brought forward today? And for that reason, as we stated previously on numerous occasions, we will not be supporting it. But I just, and I don't know where I'm wrong in my thinking of this, but we had already got a briefing in regards to BDS and basically the legal implications in regards to that. So I would be quite concerned about this even going out to households, and for that reason we will be going against it. But for the reasons of that was stated on the presentation that we had, I want this to be a recorded vote. And do you see if there's an equality assessment needed done for this, which was indicated on the briefing paper, then basically the members that are requesting it, they should pay for it. Our ratepayers shouldn't be paying for something for willy-nilly. Do you know what I mean? And there are massive cost implications of that there. So I personally want the vote recorded, John, and then when the paper comes back, then I hope that the people have put themselves forward to pay for it.
okay, we'll just go now to the vote. So, John, record a vote again. Thank you.
So thank you, Mayor. And just to be clear, it's a recorded vote on the amendment in front of us. So Alderman Cook,
Against.
Alderman Guy,
Against.
Alderman Hussey, Alderman Carrigan,
Against, John.
Alderman McCready,
Against.
Alderman McMorris,
Against.
Alderman Middleton,
Against.
Alderman Wilkinson,
Against.
Councillor Jason Barr,
Or
Councillor Lillian Barr, Councillor Raymond Barr,
Or.
Councillor Boggs, Councillor Boyle, Councillor Cusick,
Or
Councillor Deeney, Councillor Devine, Councillor Donnelly, Councillor Alex Duffy, Councillor Sandra Duffy, Councillor Farrell,
Or
Councillor Fleming, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Harkin, Councillor Hart, Councillor Heaney, Councillor Hutton, Councillor Jackson, Councillor Leonard, Councillor Logue,
Or
Councillor McDade, Councillor McGinley, Councillor McGowan, Councillor McHugh, Councillor Mooney, Councillor Norris, Councillor O'Farrell, Councillor Riley, Councillor Tierney, and Councillor Neelis. Thank you, members. There have been 39 members voting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 voting against. What's that? 79.4%. 79.49%. 39 multiplied by. Acquired 31.2%, so it's received a QNV. It hasn't got the 3 million.
Folks, I'm going to call just a 5-minute recess, please. Right, folks, can I ask you to take your seats again, please? Folks, John is now going to give you the result of that amendment, that vote taken on the amendment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, members, and sorry for taking a bit of time there. As members know, the amendment is subject to a qualified majority vote, which is 80% of members present and voting. There are 39 members present and voting, 31 members voted for the amendment. 31 as a percentage of 39 is 79.49%. So it does not meet the 80% required in the Local Government Act, Section 40, Clause 2. So the amendment falls.
Okay, members, she's all got that information, okay?
Mayor, can I just ask a question? In relation,
Councillor Donnelly had just raised his hand, so Councillor Donnelly and then yourself, Brian.
When this process started, the voting this, and I think the last vote was 31-7, and this one's now 31-8. Is that permitted? During the process, is that? The Councillor Gallagher asked for the voting of the amendment, before the amendment, and it was 31-7. It's now 31-8. Is that permitted? The vote, come in and vote in the middle of it? Is that above board?
Yep, I'll let Philip take that one, please.
Yeah, absolutely. This isn't akin to a planning paper, for example, where a member has to be present for the entirety of the item. The member simply has to be present whenever the vote on the particular part of the item is called.
Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. Given the fact that the amendment has unfortunately fallen, what's the implications for an ask like that now? After 6 months, is that right? That can't be brought again until 6 months, is that right?
Yeah, it's subject to the matters and standing orders regarding a rescinding motion. So it can be brought forward under the same basis as a rescinding motion.
So, folks, that second amendment has fallen. So I'm going to go back now to Councillor Duffy to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in, and I am hugely disappointed that that amendment wasn't carried. I think that it was a good amendment, and it would set out very clearly our position in terms of BDS as a council, which is our corporate position, and it would have given us the opportunity to do something practically as a council. So I am very disappointed that that amendment didn't carry. But as an overall proposal and notice of motion here, I'm glad that it has going to get support to go through. I think that we have a duty to not stop talking about Gaza and not stop talking about Palestine and continue to call for a complete ceasefire. So I hope to see the Book of Solidarity opened within the next number of days. And I know that the people of this council area will be grateful to get in and express their wishes of solidarity to the people of Gaza and Palestine at this time. Thank you.
We have to go to the final vote now on the substantive motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Cook.
Against.
Alderman Guy.
Against.
Alderman Hussey. Yes. Alderman Carrigan.
Against, John.
Alderman McCready.
Against.
Alderman McMorris.
Against.
Alderman Middleton.
Against.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Against, John.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Or
Councillor Lillian Barr.
For John.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Or.
Councillor Boggs. Councillor John Boyle.
Or.
Councillor Cusick.
For.
Councillor Deeney.
Ha.
Councillor Devine.
Ha.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy. Councillor Sandra Duffy. Councillor Farrell.
Or.
Councillor Fleming. Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart. Councillor Heaney. Councillor Hutton. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Leonard. Councillor Logue.
For.
Councillor McDade. Councillor McGinley. Councillor McGowan. Councillor McHugh. Councillor Mooney. Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Farrell. Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney. And Councillor Nealis. Thank you, members. 31-8. I've recorded 31-4 and 8 against, so the motion passes.
Okay, members, move on now to the next item of business, and that was Councillor Paul Boggs on the Quorum Centre.
Councillor Devine first, maybe. Chair had come on before me, but I'm happy to go now. Yeah. Mayor for letting me in, and I would ask for some indulgence raising such a sensitive issue. Mayor, I first of all want to commend the efforts of local Strabane man Rusty Crossan and his ever-growing team of elves who have undertaken the 12 Runs of Christmas initiative to raise funds for the Quorum Centre in Strabane. I recently joined Rusty on his runs, and I have no words to describe the sense of community spirit and solidarity between those taking part. Mayor, Rusty just last night, ran his 10th run with a huge group of followers, including members of Strabane Sigerson's GAA and Strabane Athletic Football Club. So far, thousands of pounds, well under £20,000, has been raised in aid of the Quorum Centre in memory of local lad Rory Curlin, who passed away in May of this year. Mayor, I would ask you, first of all, to consider marking in some way Rusty's fundraising efforts for such an important charity in our town and wider district. However, Mayor, these fundraising efforts are happening in aid of the Rory Curlin Memorial Fund, a fund set up by Dominic and Karen Curlin in memory of their son Rory. Rory Curlin had just celebrated his 22nd birthday a short time before passing away in May of this year. Described by his family and friends as someone who had everything going for him, a great footballer, popular and with a bright future ahead of him, and a loving and close-knit family, the devastation that this family is feeling can be seen through the strong community support for the campaign they have started. Rory's family are speaking out, Mayor, and raising awareness of mental health and campaigning against drugs use in our communities in a bid to help young people who may be struggling. When I spoke to Rory's dad, Dominic, he said that if by speaking out in these issues, if one life is saved, then it is all worth it. Mayor, this is a family heartbroken by grief as they spend their first Christmas without their son and brother, but are still doing everything they can to try and make sure young people are aware of the help and support which is available. Mayor, the ask of the family and the ask that I make here today on their behalf is that you reach out to them and meet with them to explore how as Mayor and how as a council we can assist them in their campaign. The heartbreaking truth, Mayor, is that this family is not unique. Too many lives, too many young lives are being lost across our council area to drugs, and we must ensure we are doing everything, supporting every campaign and raising all the awareness that we can on the issue to stop the heartbreak that is being felt by our communities. I know the family, Mayor, would appreciate the meeting with you, and hopefully you'll take up their offer as soon as possible with your diary.
Thank you. I'll get that arranged. Okay, I'm going now to Councillor Devine.
Good Mayor. It's difficult to follow on from that. That's a very heartbreaking story. I'm coming in to speak on a more positive aspect. Yesterday, I just want to wish a happy birthday to my neighbour, Kathleen McLaughlin, and it's not just any birthday. She celebrated her 100th birthday yesterday, and the Mayor very kindly came down to Ahern and we both gate crashed the party. And Kathleen was sitting up looking very glamorous, full of chat, full of fun, and she's just a really amazing and inspirational woman. And just for everybody's information, we did ask what was the secret to such a long life, and she said she never drank any alcohol and didn't smoke. I also might be a little bit prejudiced, but I think there's something special about the air in Ahern. We've had about 5 or 6 centenarians in our parish over the last number of years. And I think maybe we might even be considered as being part of the blue zones. So I'm sure everyone in council would support me when I say we'd like to wish her a happy birthday and good health, happiness and many special memories in the future for Kathleen.
Yeah, just to come on that, it was an absolutely lovely visit. I enjoyed every minute of it. Such a lovely woman, and well, I hope we all get to her age, but if it goes on the smoking and drinking, I have no chance. Councillor Boyle.
Thanks. I wasn't actually expecting this to come up today, but thanks for bringing it up, actually. It's funny how small the world can be sometimes, because Kathleen is actually a connection that I have to Ahern, would you believe? Kathleen's daughter lives next door to my dad. So on my own behalf and on behalf of the SDLP, again, just we would like to also extend our congratulations and happy birthday wishes to Kathleen, and our good wishes to her family as well. I saw the photographs of yourself and Mayor, so good job in making it down there too as well. So thank you very much.
Okay. Caroline, did you want to come on the quorum centre too? Yeah.
Very my good Mayor. Yes, I have been approached by the Quorum Centre who would like to present at Health and Community. So I'd just like to get them added to the list of deputations for that, please.
Sure, that'll be actioned. Okay, thank you. Next on the list is Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Mayor. Basically, I wanted to raise the issue. Sorry, bear with me. Wanted to raise the issue that was put on the radio this morning in regards to the dog pound within our own council area. I'm sure anybody that was listening to it or was looking at it was very heart-rending at the conditions of the pound. And I know we've had some kind of feedback in the chamber a few times in regards to the issues in the dog pound, but I just feel as if what we were told was maybe a bit downplayed and didn't kind of cover the extent of the issues that was addressed down there or should have been addressed down there. I also wanted to raise about the fact that it was stated that there's 2 dog wardens looking after the kennels, and that includes the cleaning and feeding and the care and the welfare and the maintenance of these dogs. And there was issues raised about how long these dogs were left unaccompanied if these dog wardens were out doing like fouling duties or whatever, do you know how long they are actually left in them cold and damp conditions. We talk many a time in this chamber about animal welfare, and you know, and it's just disheartening that this very council is now part of a big public frenzy and a media frenzy in regards to the conditions that the animals are living in. Also wanted to raise about just the landlord issues, do you know what I mean, and about how whenever the issues was raised, I'm going from like what the Pet FBI have basically said, that they have reported issues repeatedly to council and these fell on deaf ears. I think the most alarming one was the fact that there was no heating working, and the fact that we know that the kennels is open to elements. Like it's a poor and dismal place for any animal to be in, and I know it's hopefully only short-lived. But, you know, the very nature that their water bowls was froze, they had no access to water, then, you know, we need to be questioning about, you know, the animal welfare within our care. I also wanted to just raise about the fact that Pet FBI is like public donations, and there was a statement on that basically council had set a capping on their charging. Do you know what I mean? And the capping was about £16 for the first day and £8.50 thereafter. And I was just wondering, because there was mention then about the lease agreement and the fact that there was no tender process. In fact, one of the media actually quoted that when they contacted council, they were basically blaming the charity and councillors because councillors actually went and done a contract without tender for the lease. So that's quite alarming to hear that comment. We actually had health and safety training in this chamber not that long ago, and it was put over very strongly that the legal responsibility for health and safety remained within this chamber. And I just want to know like where we're at in regards to the health and safety of A, the animals, but B, also the staff at FBI. Again, I just want to mention about the fact that the charity and, you know, about they're charged. Basically, we have a statutory obligation in regards to the providing of welfare pounds and everything else, you know what I mean? And we were actually charging them a fee of £5,000 a year to carry out our statutory obligation. And it just seems to be a bit absurd, do you know what I mean? That one of the media, if you go onto the media, they actually have an internal email quoted on there where one of council employees was emailing another council employees and basically saying, make sure you get all the money off them before they vacate the premises. I don't know how that email got into public media. Do you know what I mean? So I just like to maybe hear a wee bit about what council's take is on it. And I know the media have been asking a lot of questions in regards to this whole issue. And I would just be interested to see what council have to say in regards to the matter. And do they plan to respond to all of the questions that the media has have mentioned in regards to this issue? I suppose I could go on and ask loads more questions, do you know what I mean? And there's probably more questions and answers here today. But I would like just the reassurances from council that we're going to be doing every single thing that we can to make that pound more animal friendly. Basically, the repairs is going to be carried out. And there's some kind of negotiations or talks it's went with Pet FBI, because it seems to me the initial people that took out the lease agreements not even in the charities anymore. And so there's questions in regards to, what due diligence is done and whatever, but I'd just like to hear council's point on it. Thank you.
I'm just going to bring John on now.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to ask my colleagues Seamus and Karen to come in. But just before I do, as a general response to those questions and to the media questions today, can I just say that there is complete assurance that any steps or actions that are required to be taken by council to ensure that the premises and the care is to the highest standard will be put in place, and a full report will be brought to council immediately after Christmas with regard to these issues. So I think it's important to provide that overall assurance immediately, and to state that if there are any deficiencies, those deficiencies will be addressed with immediate effect.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Alderman McMorris, in relation to the questions. I suppose to set the scene, council was approached by Pet FBA to lease this premises back in 2020. And the purpose of that expression of interest was for them to provide their services within this facility. And at the time, they felt the facility met their needs. So the premises were leased in 2021. That lease agreement had an inventory of basically all the items within the kennels, and also had photographs of various areas as well, just to demonstrate the condition at that time. So within a short period of time, yes, we accept the facility does need repairs. I personally would regard them as minor repairs, but we will carry them out urgently, and those repairs actually have started to take place. The lease also outlined responsibilities of the tenant and the landlord, i.e. council. And so we would have carried out periodic checks in relation to health and safety legislation and animal welfare. They have been complied with all along and continue to be complied with now that the dog wardens manage the service going forward. The stray dogs, what we had agreed at the time and as part of the lease was that any stray dogs would be brought into the kennels. Pet FBA would assist with rehoming those that were not reclaimed by their owner. There was a fee, obviously, the Pet FBA could charge the dog owner, or a fee in relation to rehoming the dog. And I think that's in around £180, £200. At no time did council take that fee. Pet FBA retained the fee, and at no time did Pet FBA raise concerns in relation to the rental agreement with the lease, within the lease. And I would point out that the reason why Pet FBA approached council was that the rent was substantially less than the previous premises that they were renting. So we had a good working relationship, I suppose, up to the lease was terminated, and more than happy with the welfare of the dogs. And we'll continue to ensure that we comply with health and safety and animal welfare legislation. In terms of the condition of the kennels, as I say, we periodically carried out inspections, and we have carried out a recent condition survey and have allocated a budget to carry out some, and I would stress they are in my view minor repairs, i.e. chip plaster, probably needs a lick of paint, and some power washing. And in relation to the heating system, we'll ensure that it's zoned for the various kennels and office accommodation. One of the problem contributing factors potentially in relation to the deterioration of the structure or fabric of the premises was that the heating may not have been utilised during that period of the lease. But as John says, we will give a commitment to carry out those repairs urgently, and we'll bring a report back into committee early in the new year in relation to future options to provide that kennelling service. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Irene, I just have a message in the chat. Councillor Cusack wants to come in, and then I'll bring you back in. Councillor Cusack.
Thank you, Mayor. And I was looking on before the officers had spoken, so a lot of the issues I was going to raise have already been covered there. But just to concur with what Alderman McMorris had said, you know, I highlighted all these points in the Health and Communities Committee back on Thursday. And so a lot of the points have been already asked and covered. So I appreciate that and appreciate the response from the officers. I did listen to the radio interview by Teresa Craig at the Pound this morning, and it was quite upsetting to say the least. So, and it did raise a lot more concerns. So I would really emphasize the need for us to move urgently on this, to invest what is needed to invest in the welfare of the animals or potential animals that are going to come in over the coming weeks and months. And if possible, maybe even arrange a site visit for some of the councillors to go and visit the pounds to see for themselves, you know, what's been said, what has value, what has truth, what has not, what is maybe exaggerated, and what should be highlighted more, basically. Because, you know, we're out there and we're telling people they need to be responsible dog owners, and council needs to be a responsible landlord and step up to the plate. So appreciate the work that's going to be done and look forward to the improvements that's going to come our way in the future. And again, if it would be possible to arrange an inspection of the pound, so councillors, you know, can see for themselves what we're actually dealing with, and they can maybe make plans for where we need to invest money in the future without having to say there's no budget. We'll have to make a budget because this is welfare of animals. I think there's maybe 1 in 2 families have, you know, animals, have pets, have dogs or cats, and it's something that's very close to our constituents and our ratepayers' hearts. So we need to take that on board. Thank you.
You okay with that, Alderman Morris?
Yeah, and I'd like to just thank Seamus for the report on that, and we look forward to the changes being made. And I agree with Councillor Cusack that basically a visit down to the pound, you know, so that councillors can see the conditions and whatever. But I appreciate that, and I look forward to the repairs being done.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring in Councillor Donnelly.
Thanks, Chair. Chair was trying to get your attention there. Look, this to me is just another strand of reputational damage to this council. If this council is the body tasked to uphold and look after the welfare of animals in this city, and this is happening, you know, perception can be reality for a lot of people. Even if it's not, I think it's important that this council gets down into the bottom of this, because I've had people who are, you know, who do keep animals, and they've had complaints made about them, and they're putting them down to being sort of malicious and that. It's not something that I would take and run, because, you know, it'll come out in the end if they're ill-treating their animals, and I think we can't take a chance. But again, it's the reputational damage done to this council, and it's not just regards to this issue. You know, it's if we're the body, or if this council's the body tasked to look after things, we have to be consistent. And I think, you know, and we look at where people encroach on their land, and we in my opinion, that the attitude to it is less than satisfactory. We've lost the moral sort of, you know, right to preach and to go after people if the perception out there is that we are not doing everything above board or everything we can. It's a very important issue. And there is, as Councillor Cusick has pointed out, there's a lot of animal lovers in this city, and it's something that a lot of people take serious. And I think we need to be doing everything we can to be getting to the bottom of this and to make sure that if there is any wrongs here, then we sort them out. Thank you.
I'm sure a report will be brought back to council on the matter, explaining the facts fully. Okay. I'm going to move on now. And the last item on the agenda came to me by Councillor Hunton on our NIB. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me on under Chair's business. On the 1st of December, most of us here in the chamber had taken part in a blindfolded tour of the city centre organised by Rory McCartney from RNIB. Since then, Rory has reached out to myself and Councillor McGinley to chat about the motion that was brought forward in February of last year to make this city visually aware. So we met with Rory and he was just asking questions about how that's moving forward, and we get into discussions of how maybe we could take a first step and in making the district visually aware. We get chatting in and around the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium and the vision really that they had to make that more visually aware by creating an area in one of the stands which would be visually aware friendly. And it's not so much that you would have better vision of the pitch, you would have headphones that you could wear so that you're getting visually aware commentary to help you sort of recognise what's going on and how the match is progressing. So I suppose I wanted to make a proposal here today that council would meet with relevant stakeholders to see how we can push that forward in order to promote an inclusive and an accessible stadium over there. And I know the new stand is going to be built in the very near future, so we thought that this was the right time to bring it up, because there's no point in the stand being built and then bringing it up and it being too late. So the proposal's on the screen, and at this stage it would just be looking at council recognising that we do need to be moving forward with regards to the visual awareness here in the town. There's 4,500 people registered blind or have a visual impairment here in the district, and that's only those who are registered. Sport is a massive part of people's lives. It's a massive part of family life. So it's important for us to allow accessible services and inclusive environments for young people to go and enjoy the sports. This has been done in Windsor Park. Rory has told us it has been very successful up there. He says he has never enjoyed a football match like it. So I suppose at this stage it's getting a plan in place for us all to sit down, get a chat about this and see how we're going to move forward. There is a motion that will be brought in the new year by myself and Councillor McGinley, but at this stage I would like support for the motion that's on the screen. Thanks very much.
I'm happy to second that proposal, Mayor.
And there's a website as well called Soccer Site. I can send the link on, which is a really, really good guide. It has great guidance notes in relation to how we can carry this out successfully. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And is there any speakers on that proposal? Catherine?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for that proposal. It's really good and we're happy to support it. Whenever you've brought that up, I was at that event on the 1st of December too, as most of us were, and it was brilliant. And pardon the pun, but it was very eye-opening. Like, there is a lot of parts of the area that really isn't visually aware. There's so many broken tiles and drop steps. It's just, there's so much more can be done. I wasn't aware of the motion that had been passed for the city and district to become visually aware before I came in, until Rory had mentioned it as well. So I was wondering if we could get a paperback just to see what's been done on that since it was passed, just to get a wee bit of information for it, because there's a lot of new councillors, just to see what's been done. Thank you.
I'm sure council officers will action that too as well. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you. And it's a welcome proposal, undoubtedly, for those who would be there enjoying the game. I would trust that Institute would also be involved in that as a club that use the Brandywell. And I'm also minded that there are other stadia throughout our council area where this sort of assistance via council might be welcomed. And perhaps that's something that I'm leaving the motion as it is, but just pointing out these facts, that maybe others could be engaged as to what they could do in their particular stadia throughout the district council area. Thank you, Chair. Mayor.
All right, did anybody call me there? No, no other speakers. I will just take that motion as read, yeah. Is there anything you want to add, Aisling, or?
Just thank you. And obviously, all other relevant stakeholders will be taken into consideration. The football club as the leaseholder is probably mentioned there because they are a leaseholder, but all other relevant stakeholders will be taken into consideration.
Thank you. That's the end of Chairperson's business. So we're going to move on now to the confirmation of the open minutes of the meeting of the Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Wednesday, the 22nd of November, 2023, pages 5 to 36. Alderman Hussey.
Accuracy, page 34, Mayor. At the end of item C473, where it states at this point in the meeting, protesters filled the public gallery, demanding expulsion, etc., etc. I think a proper reflection is that protesters filled the public gallery and entered the council chamber through a secure entrance, and I think that is a more accurate statement of what actually happened. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
So I'm asking that that be more accurately recorded. Thank you.
Would that be right, John? If members are comfortable with that, that will be recorded as such, yes. Okay. Any other matters arising? Councillor, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor, for bringing me in. It's the same item, actually, C473/23, and it's under the age-friendly strategy and action plan. Alderman Gay raised the issue about the closure of Ulster Bank, and I'm conscious that a number of elected members would have received correspondence from the trade union in relation to that item, asking us to take the action that we had already taken when the item was discussed at full council. So could I ask that the council just inform John O'Connell as the General Secretary of the Financial Services Union that we have actioned the item that was in his letter to elected members of the 28th of November. And when we do hear back from Ulster Bank, that we inform John O'Connell and the trade union of the response that we get from the bank at that time. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, no other matters arising? No. Proposer and seconder, please. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on now to the confirmation of the open minutes of the reconvened meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Thursday, the 23rd of November, 2023, pages 37 to 60. Matters arising?
Thank you, Mayor. Matters arising at the end of all of the discussion, particularly that took place with regard to the goings-on of the day before. There must be questions, surely, with regard to Standing Order 8, items 2, 3 and 5 with regard to admission to meetings. Also, item 10, or Standing Order 10, and indeed Standing Orders 25.5 and 26. And I have to ask through you, Mayor, if the Chief Executive intends a report on the handling of the situation on the day being brought back to council. Because there are clearly concerns as to why, under Standing Order 10.3, the presiding chairperson, namely yourself, may at any time during the proceedings, if she thinks it necessary to secure order, direct the removal of any individual or group of individuals from the council chamber, or order the council chamber to be wholly cleared of members of the public. And I think there are questions to be answered, and I think that would be appropriate. that a report would be brought back in regard to all of the goings on of that particular day. Thank you, Mayor.
As you know, Alderman Hussey, there is a police investigation ongoing on these matters. It has been recorded on our papers what has occurred. Really, I think that to bring any other paper forward at this time just wouldn't be it just wouldn't be appropriate.
Thank you, Mayor, and I welcome the confirmation that there's a police investigation going on, but there are internal matters that I believe our Chief Executive should be looking at, but if that's your ruling, you're the Mayor.
Any other matters arising? No, can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Alex and Sean, thank you. Moving on to the adoption of the open minutes of the following committees. The bi-monthly Assurance Audit and Risk Committee held on Monday, the 20th November 2023, pages 61 to 68. Any matters arising? No, can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Leonard and Councillor Devine. The monthly Governance and Strategic Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 28th of November 2023, pages 69 to 82, matters arising. Councillor Duffy, Sandra.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in, and I just want to raise an issue under GSP 198 and 23, which was correspondence from the NI office in relation to appointment of independent members to the policing board. I know that consultation and correspondence is going through councils, and we just felt that it would be appropriate to comment on that, to allow some comments to go back to the NIO office in relation to what our thoughts are in relation to some of the criteria that they're looking to set for independent members. If you allow me, I would like to propose that the council respond by saying that financial performance should not be an essential criteria for appointment to the policing board. If the NIO are not dividing the criteria into essential and desirable criteria, financial performance should not be on the list of criteria. It could possibly be listed as one of a number of possible skills someone might possess, but this should also be clearly marked as or. The NIO should not word the criteria in such a way that all independent members of the policing board are expected to have financial expertise. The board has a range of legislative duties and therefore requires a range of skills. Those are financial expertise. Those with financial expertise may not have some of the other skills required. And I think that that's really important that that is recorded because we don't want to narrow the field of independent members, if that's okay. I can send that to the committee section just so that it's clear. So thank you for your indulgence.
Folks, is everybody comfortable with that being added to the reply? Yeah, and I would suggest if anybody else has any other suggestions, maybe they could be forwarded to the relevant officer and they could be shared out then with members for to get their views on them. Is that okay? Yeah. Any other matters arising? No, can I have a proposer and seconder then, please? Thank you, Chelsea and Sandra. The monthly planning committee meeting held on Wednesday, the 29th of November 2023, pages 83 to 84. Matters arising? No. Proposer and seconder? Thank you. Thank you. You get that, Committee Clerk? Yeah. The reconvened monthly planning committee held on Thursday, the 30th of November 2023, pages 85 to 94. Matters arising? Matters arising. Councillor
No,
Boyd.
it's for accuracy, Bear. It's not a big deal. It's just page, it's P189/23. It's in reference to the consultation DFC HED proposed listing of boundary posts. And the very last paragraph, my colleague Councillor Barr is quoted as having said in that last paragraph, just amend that it was actually myself, albeit that Councillor Barr does agree with what I said. But instead of J Barr, it should read J Boyd.
Okay, I'm sure that can be amended. Proposer and seconder, please. Thank you. Thank you. The monthly Business and Culture Committee held on Tuesday, the 5th of December 2023, pages 95 to 106. Any matters arising? Councillor McDade.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just something small. BC 18223, it's page 103, 104. It's just about the Ballyarna Country Park. There's just a wee line on it about assessing it and looking at it in its entirety. And I just wanted to say, if that was being done, could consideration be given about linking Culmore down to the Ballyarna Country Park? I was looking at the maps, and the greenway at the minute cuts off behind Thornhill, and it's only a few hundred metres to link it down then into Amelia House, or Amelia Court House, whatever it's called. Just to ask that be considered whenever you're doing the master plan for the country park. Thank you.
Is that okay? Yeah. Any other matters rising? Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. Page 103, it's the tail end of item 181 on the Northwest Angling Fair. I'm not a member of that committee, but was in attendance. And I think it needs to be pointed out that the recommendation is proposal for the 6th and 7th of April 2024. And, I'm content that council will endorse that. But I would remind councillors of a paragraph just above that, which says that the officer would be happy to take members' comments on board, particularly in relation to holding a future angling fair in Castlederg, and for more outreach events to take place in the rural areas. I think that has to be highlighted, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, any other matters arising? No. Proposer and seconder, please.
I can propose
Thank
it,
you.
Councillor Hart.
Okay, thank you. The monthly Environment and Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, the 6th of December 2023, pages 107 to 118. Any matters arising? Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor. It's AR 274, and it's around the dog exercise area. And when I seen this coming in, I thought to myself, this was a very speedily put through council. It was very recently, a motion was passed. And now council's finding 10 grand to put this in place. And I'm thinking to myself, how does reports get, maybe use the word elevated within council? Like some examples, like Councillor Edward brought forward a motion in March to bring forward a report around spend across the district and how council spend, and we've yet to see it. There's reports in the pipeline, some are even in the pipeline years. We're waiting on the Easter Lily one to be sorted out, and that's 2016, and there doesn't seem to be any movement on it. I brought one myself very recently on floodlighting before this proposal was in the pipeline. So I'm wondering, and there could be a perception out there that something is brought forward and it's around spend or an activity in Derry City, it tends to get elevated. And what I'm asking is, there's a lot of reports that council or councillors has brought in the system, and they just seem to swim around the system. And yet we see one that comes in October, and it's brought forward in the next meeting, and council has to find 10 grand to facilitate that motion. So I'm just throwing this out to officers, to John, whatever, that in order to try and show fairness across the board, the delay in some of these reports that council has passed and the other ones are expedited, you're saying, is there fairness across the board? And this one here, for me, just highlights the fact that it comes in 1 month, it reports in the next month, and we're supporting finding £10,000 for it, where others have been in the pipeline for quite a long time, and we seem to be withering on the vine. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, I suppose for myself, Councillor Gallagher, I would just try and, work things out in my own head a wee bit about the spend. You could be talking about £10, you could be talking about £10,000, you could be talking about tens of thousands of pounds. So you have to try and put all that into perspective. But I'm going to pass over to John, maybe to see if we can maybe in the new year, maybe, and this is only coming from myself, have a separate meeting on how things are progressed. Maybe that will be a way of doing it, because I don't think that we're going to get a full explanation at this meeting here. And I suppose your query is quite valid. So I think it would deserve maybe a session on how motions and proposals are moved forward. So, but I'll pass it over to John.
Through you, Mayor. Obviously, I haven't had time to consider this in detail, but it is a valid point. And it's something we'll take away and look at. What I can assure members is that on close of every council meeting, indeed in close of every committee meeting, all of the actions are captured, and we meet regularly to ascertain how we might best take forward those actions. There is no prioritization unless it is something incredibly urgent. They're assigned to officers, senior officers, to take forward through parent committees. And in general, there's a follow-up report brought as soon as possible to the parent committee with regard to the issues associated with bringing forward the notice of motion. It's not a perfect system by any means, and it does rely from time to time. It does rely from time to time on members seeking and lobbying for updates or reprioritization or whatever it happens to be. But certainly from an officer perspective, where things can be implemented quickly, we bring back immediate reports. Where things require further detailed consideration, we try to bring those reports back to parent committees as soon as possible. A very high percentage of notice of motions are dispensed with almost immediately. Some of the more complex ones, as you know, members, do take some very, very considerable time to fully discharge. But certainly from an officer perspective, all actions, all notices of motion that are passed in this floor are treated similarly with regard to weight and expedience. But as you know, members, there are a very, very considerable number of actions. So if there are any that members feel are not being taken forward expediently, then please raise them and we will ensure that that is addressed as quickly as possible.
I have 3 speakers. I may have more, so if I have missed one, please let me know. First, Alderman Hussey, and then Councillor Devine and Councillor McGinley. So have I missed anybody there? Okay, so Alderman Hussey.
It's not on the same issue, Mayor. Have you
It's
moved
not
on?
the same issue. Folks,
It doesn't either. It's a
yours
separate matter arising.
Caroline, is yours in the same issue that was raised? No. No, is yours the same issue?
Yeah, thanks to Councillor Gallagher for raising this. I was going to raise a few or several motions that have been passed, some of them 6, 7, 8 months ago, that I don't see any action on, or that I've had to chase up, and I'm still not happy with the level of action, because it shouldn't take a year for a motion to be actioned. And these are, letter writing is easily enough done straight after a meeting. But I don't think that people should be forced to chase up motions, to be quite honest. And this raises a question for me about resource at the council, because we've taken on Ebrington and we were told council could do that. But when members are having to chase up motions that were backed overwhelmingly in the council chamber or fully, I think when it's passed, it's on to the council officers, because it's no longer an individual member's motion. It's now the corporate policy of the council. So it does seem to me that there is decisions being made about what to prioritise. But look, from what John said, I'll take John up on his offer, and I'll be following up on those things that I'm concerned about, and then I'm sure all our members will do the same.
Okay, moving on now in the order is Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. It's page 110, item 268. The study, which was proposed by Councillor Barr, seconded by myself at the E&R. And I suppose maybe we can put that into the category. Let's see the feasibility study materialising. But slightly different from that, but related to the previous discussion. The current Health and Community Director will be aware that back in the Strabane days, I have been asking with regard to the potential of an ecclesiastical walkway from Ardstraw through to Lochderg. Other members in this current amalgamation will recall me mentioning this in the past as well. There are reports there. There has been work done. Could we have an update on the current status of that particular suggestion of a walkway along that particular route? I have a second item, Mayor, if you want me to stop on that.
Yeah, just been advised a report will be brought on that. So, Councillor Devine.
All right, second item, Mayor.
Oh, sorry, go ahead then. Councillor.
Page 112, item 272 on brown bins. Very simple. Not all areas in the council have got brown bins. Could we have a report or an update on which areas have yet to be supplied with brown bins?
Okay, yeah. Councillor Devine. Same issue.
Mayor, it's in relation to ER 275, the Newton Stewart Regeneration Framework. I had intended to speak about it at committee, but I had some technical issues. So officers will be aware that I have been lobbying on this matter since I joined council in May, and I've probably been a bit of a pain on it. I just want to acknowledge and thank the officers for the hard work in preparing such a comprehensive document, and for all of the background work that's gone into developing this strategy from the 3 council departments, particularly from E&R, who have taken the lead. And I want to send my thanks to Tony and Maura and the team for the work that they have put in. I believe this is the first strategic framework of its kind for a small rural settlement like Newton Stewart that involves buy-in from a whole range of different stakeholders, including local and central government and including the Department of Communities. And I think that's a really welcome development, and perhaps this model will benefit other small rural towns in the district in the future and the learning from it. The need for revitalisation and investment in Newton Stewart has been highlighted for a number of years, and I think we all agree that it's well overdue.
Excuse me, Caroline, could I just have a wee bit of order, please, in the chamber? When members are speaking, it's very hard to listen when there's other people speaking, so please, thank you. Go ahead, Caroline.
I know there isn't a budget allocated for the plan, but I think it's a very welcome step forward, and I think it can be used now in the future to secure different funding streams as we move forward. In October, myself and my Sinn Féin colleagues, Melissa McHugh and Orla Begley, facilitated a meeting with the senior council officers and representatives from the Traders Group and the Heritage Group, and I think that was a really productive meeting, and it resulting from that, there was really positive engagement and progress on the foot of that meeting. And I hope this will continue into the future. So I'm also delighted that there is some investment already earmarked in terms of the shopfront painting scheme, the work that started at Vaughan's Home, and also the resurfacing in the Town Hall car park. Parking and accessibility, as you know, is a major issue for the businesses there in Newton Stewart. And there's a lot of work to be done there yet, but it's a start and it's very welcome. So I'm looking forward now to the consultation getting underway and getting the views of the people that are living and working there in Newton Stewart and getting the framework finalised so that we can start identifying how we move forward and making that plan a reality. So thank you.
Thank you. And just before I bring up my last indicated speaker, I just want to advise Karen that Councillor Boggs wanted to be associated with the brown bin issue that Alderman Hussey brought on, and Alderman Middleton at all as well. So maybe it could be just sent out to us all. So is that okay? Is that all right? That covers us all. So I'm going to bring on Councillor McGill now.
Mayor, it's ER 273/23. It'll be no surprise to anybody in ENR that I'm bringing up the percolate at the Diamond. I'm just wondering, following hopefully this being ratified, how quickly do you think we'll see that work happen to get it restored to the Perkins business?
Through you, Chair, members were sitting ready, waiting for the resolution. So thanks.
Okay, there be no other matters arising. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please? You all remember where we're on? Yeah, proposer. All right, thank you. Moving on now to the monthly Health and Communities meeting held on Thursday, the 7th of December 2023, pages 119 to 134. Any matters arising? Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. HC 252/23, the correspondence. Mayor, you may be aware that I've received a letter from Kingspan solicitors, and I know that there's been a number of back and forward between Council's legal team and them. I'm just looking to see what steps Council have taken at this stage to address that letter. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, members, just to confirm that we are in correspondence with Kingspan solicitors in relation to the matter. The key request, members, is that the correspondence was brought to the attention of members. As members are aware, the correspondence from Kingspan of 6th October 2023 was placed before the full council meeting and forms part of the papers of that minute and still appears on the council's website. Likewise, the correspondence from Tweed solicitors forms part of the papers of the Health and Communities Committee. We do not read correspondence into minutes. Members, it forms part of the papers, and that's how it's addressed. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hinney.
Thanks, Mayor. At the Health Communities meeting, we received a very powerful presentation from Papyrus on suicide prevention. And it's just in light of this being the last meeting before Christmas. Christmas can be sort of a difficult time for some in our city and district, and I don't have a formal proposal, but I would ask that the council's social media would publicise the lifeline number over the Christmas period. I'm assuming there wouldn't be any objections to that, so let's hear it.
I don't think that'll be a problem, Councillor Heaney. I might even just do a wee video and promote all those numbers I am to as well. my page too as well. So, yeah. No more matters arising? No. So can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Alderman Morris and Councillor Devine. We're moving on now to item number 11, and that is the boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign, commonly known as BDS. So, who's going to? Philip's going to take that. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Members, you'll recall that at the council meeting in November, the notice of motion that set out in paragraph 2.1 of the report was passed by a majority vote. And amongst the requests contained within that notice of motion was that there should be a meeting with elected members and officers, and that meeting took place on the 1st of December 2023. And further, that a report be brought back to this council meeting in relation to the issues. Now, members, the issues were set out at that meeting on the 1st of December, which was very well attended by elected members. But they're also set out, members, within the report. The previous notice of motion passed as C281 of 2016. Following that, detail was provided to members of the various different legislative provisions which are applicable when one is dealing with procurement in particular. Following the implementation of the motion, and the various pieces of legislation are set out at paragraph 3.3 of the report. The conclusion at that time set out in 3.4 being that it would appear that practical steps to implement the motion beyond those already taken, affirming support for the Palestinian people and affirming support for BDS campaign, would be contrary to the legal opinion received. Members were then subsequently advised of developments in the Court of Appeal in England, and in particular the judgment in the case of Jewish Rights Watch versus Leicester City Council, which appeared to corroborate the matters which had previously been sent out. Members were also advised of the Public Bodies Overseas Matter Bill, which is currently working through its way through Parliament, members, but it has not been passed by Parliament. It is not current law, and consequently the Council does not have to take it into direct account when it's making decisions in relation to this matter. Members would also be aware of similar resolutions passed by other councils whose practical implementation of matters accords with the position that this council is in at the current time. Members, we've had some discussion already tonight, obviously, of resolution C374/21. Which had requested that the council proceed with the printing of publicity items on BDS and the requirement for the implementation of that to need a qualified majority vote. Members, the meeting on the 1st of December was with elected members, had suggested as a mechanism of taking forward this matter the establishment of a task and finish working group, which would meet with a view to bringing forward a further report to the Council on possible practical steps for implementation of the BDS in relation to certain suggestions that had been raised by elected members and which might indeed merit further examination and discussion in relation to that. So the proposal and recommendations which are set out in the report are, firstly, that members note the contents of the report, but secondly, that members consider establishing a task and finish working group with a view to bringing a further report to Council on possible practical steps for the implementation of the BDS campaign.
Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the report, Philip. And I was at this meeting. And again, at that meeting, I made the proposal of setting up a task and finish working group. And I'd like to make that proposal again today at full council. And going back to what I'd said at previous meetings, that the corporate position of this council is to implement BDS. And we've seen how that has been successful throughout the world. It's our corporate position, and we shouldn't allow ourselves to be hamstrung by legal implications around that. That if one thing is stated that we can't do this legally, then we could possibly do that, and we could possibly do this, and we could possibly do that without breaking the law of local government. So I think that a task and financial group would be very beneficial to bringing forward all those that we can, because we did see a protest in here very recently, and some of the anger that was coming from those protesters was the thought, the perception, the reality that the corporate position as council on BDS wasn't being implemented, and we're probably not aware of all legalities that was tying this council's hands behind its back. So I think that as a council, as a chamber moving forward, we shouldn't be looking at what we can't do. We should be looking at what we can do on BDS. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Jackson.
Good, Mayor, and I suppose.
Sorry, it was Councillor Harkin here first. Apologies about that.
Thank you, Chair, Mayor. I second or support Councillor Gallagher's proposal and the one that's recommended in the document. The first thing to say is, look, when people here in Ireland and across the world were supporting South Africans in their effort to undo apartheid South Africa, the boycott divestment campaign against apartheid South Africa faced all the exact same obstacles at local government, at national government levels, but it finally broke through, and fortunately now apartheid doesn't exist anymore in South Africa, and there is the same determination across the world to deal with Israel, apartheid Israel, and that's only been elevated now in the last number of months, because I think people now see that Israel is an apartheid state, determined to ethnically cleanse people from their homes. And while we are facing obstacles here, look, people in Derry and across Ireland are getting on with BDS, and we've seen that now with O'Neill's right across this island, removing Puma products from its stores. We now have the announcement from Puma that it's going to end its sponsorship deal with the Israeli football team, which is a massive, massive victory for the BDS movement. And they're not alone in terms of massive corporations. So we have to figure out, as Councillor Gallagher said, how we're going to implement, how we're going to go about implementing BDS as a council. And we also have on our books as well, and it's been done a number of times, and it was, we reaffirmed it last month, that we aim to be an apartheid-free zone in relation to boycotting Israeli apartheid products. So we also have to figure out that. There's a lot of discussions to be had about the content of the document that Philip went through, but Omar Barghouti is going to be addressing the council on January 9th, and he's going to be addressing the council about boycott, divestment and sanctions. He's one of the founders, a Palestinian founder of this peaceful movement to try and highlight the apartheid and what people can do around the world to support Palestinian freedom. So I think that we will learn a lot from Omar Barghouti in that presentation, because he has been given advice to organisations across Ireland, across Europe. And from my point of view, look, I don't think we should be, there's the issues of procurement, and then there's the issues of anything that is complicit with Israel across the district. I don't think we should be investing in any or have anything to do with any organisations or states that are committing human rights abuses across the world. And that's one thing I think we have to look at, because we're being blocked around Palestine around this stuff. But does our council have investment with any human rights abusers? Does Stormont? Does the British government? Because surely no local government can stand over policies that are where we have involvement with any regimes or governments around the world or corporations that are involved in any kind of human rights abuses, not just apartheid in Israel. So I welcome this task force. I think we have to try and move as quickly as possible on it because people are eager to see the council take action, but they're definitely not waiting on us. People are way ahead of us right now in terms of leading in this issue.
Sorry, Christopher.
Oh, no problem at all, Mayor. Mayor, I was one of the people, I brought the motion to council in 2016. And it was in consultation with Omar Barghouti and others. They bring a motion that was modelled on the boycott campaign that was successful in South Africa. They put pressure on companies that are complicit with human rights violations in Palestine. And the model works. We know that international pressure works. And it is frustrating that there's legal constraints that are prohibiting councils. They fully implement BDS, and we understand from Philip's report that there's further legal constraints that are, well, there's objectives of a Tory government that they put further legal constraints and barriers in front of councils. And it's disgraceful, and this is coming at a time when there's genocide, there's deliberate ethnic cleansing, there's deliberate targeting of women and children in the Gaza Strip. And I suppose from our perspective, I'm happy to propose that it's myself that represents our party on the working group. And I understand there was a vote taken earlier on in this meeting around steps the council could take to highlight some of the BDS or information around BDS, and that motion wasn't passed, or that amendment wasn't passed because it failed to meet qualified majority. I look forward to taking part in the working group to look at practical ways that we can implement BDS or promote BDS within our council area. But I don't feel that we can wait. There's slaughter that's ongoing in Palestine now as we speak, and we can't afford. They can't afford for us to be waiting for discussions with Omar in January or the mechanics of working groups. They come forward with recommendations and all of that. So, Mayor, I know it is within our council's gift to use our social media platforms. There's no cost incurred to councils. They highlight our support for BDS. They share information around the organisations that are included in the BDS movement, in the BDS campaign. So I'm proposing, whilst the working group is set up, that this council share that information on its social media platforms and continuously share that information on a weekly basis until there's a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, because that can run alongside any further recommendations or outcomes of the working group that's been proposed and seconded at this meeting today. So I take that as I hope we can take that as a proposal, Mayor, that we use our social media platforms repeatedly until there's a permanent ceasefire in Gaza.
We're happy to second that.
Do people need that proposal on screen, or everybody clear on it? Yep. Okay. Does anybody, sorry, folks, we actually do need to put it on screen, so It's Councillor Tierney next and then Councillor Donnelly after the proposal goes up, okay? Right, folks, we have a proposal there on screen. Has everybody got a chance to look at it? Can I have a seconder, please?
Just, Mayor, if 1 second, just a point. Is that getting added on to the setting up of the finishing task? Added on, so it just goes in front of that?
So it's not, it's slightly different from the motion. This is a separate proposal in addition to the ones, right?
Yeah, well, it's slightly different, but it's an addition, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Oh, you're all right. So, okay. Okay. So we have a proposal here. And it has been seconded. Does anyone want to speak on it? I had two speakers. First of all, Alderman Hussey, just bear with me. Councillor Tierney and Councillor Donnelly. So obviously it was on this matter. Yes. Yes. So I'm going to check that. And if anybody else have your name down now, Alderman Hussey. So hearken. Okay. Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. In relation to the proposal that is before us and including the setting up of the task force, I'm more than happy to support it. I think it is a fantastic idea that we should be sharing whatever information we can and getting it out there to the public. And obviously we're, like others, we're disappointed in the outcome of the vote earlier on. But it is something that we should be trying to do. And I think it was Councillor Gallagher said, referenced, we should be looking at what we can do and not what we can't do. And I think that's the approach that we should be taking. And it's definitely something that we would be pushing for, or we will be pushing for within the task force whenever it's set up. And I'm pretty sure that you don't need them now. But in relation to the task force, we'll be nominating Catherine McDade to sit on that on our behalf. In relation to the sharing of the information, I think it's incredibly important. I thought it was a huge step when protesters in this city forced O'Neill's to remove Puma from their shops. I think it's a tremendously huge step to see now that Puma have withdrawn their sponsorship. I think that's incredible, and that's one example that we can show that BDS does work and it does have an impact, and it's an individual step that can have a collective impact, and I think that's the benefit, and I think that's the message that we should be sending out there, that we can do it individually, but collectively it makes a huge sound across the world, and Israel will know that they will now see the impacts of BDS, and I think we need to be pushing that message out. So I fully support the proposal from Councillor Jackson. We look forward to the task force meeting and the outworkings of that. But I would like to see the task force and the council as a whole changing the approach and looking at a proactive approach as to what we can do and what we can do quickly and what would be considered in many ways quick ones, as opposed to looking at what we can't do and what we're restricted to do under the legal constraints that are there. Thank you, Mayor, but we'll be supporting both proposals. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Guy, just to let you know that I have your name on the list, but I'm going to bring on Councillor Donnelly now.
Chair, just a number of things. Look, I think it's a very good proposal from Councillor Jackson. It was actually in the process with myself and Councillor Gallagher coming up with a formula of words when he had mentioned it, so fully support it. Just the task and finishing working group, will independent councillors get a chance, all independent councillors get a chance to be on that, or will they be excluded and one independent, if that could be clarified? Just regards BDS, there is a perception out there, Mayor, that council is dragging its heels and that there is resistance from officers to prevent it from happening. But having said that, there is groups of organisations out there who are actively campaigning regarding BDS and as has been mentioned, have had a number of successes regards home bargains, have removed all Israeli produce from the shelves. O'Neill's, which have removed the Puma products, and that's come down not from many. And following on that is the Puma's decision to cut ties with the Israeli soccer team. That's come from grassroots. It hasn't come from this council. Now, that doesn't mean to say that the elected representatives in this council, they're all with, most of them would be with the BDS campaign. But I just want to commend those groups of activists who have taken them decisions and who have protested and boycotted and made noise, and that has filtered back, and they've had that success, and that has to be welcomed, and then people have to be commended. And whilst there is shops who will do it, there's also other shops who will try and pull the wool over people's eyes, and one in particular is Lidl. And there has been ongoing actions in Lidl by groups of BDS activists. And whilst that was ongoing, there is senior elected representatives from the city who would shop in there and who would support that campaign. Their parties would support that campaign. So I think it's important that if we can't do it, if there is a dragging of heels by officers and the legal argument is being used, then I think we as individuals as elected representatives should be out there joining these groups, and if you do your shopping in some of these places, then complain to the management. But as I said, some of them have taken that decision, and there's others who will try and pull the wool over, who will remove shelves before the action, remove the stuff off the shelves before any planned protest actions, in order to give a false impression that they have taken it off the shelves. No sooner have people left than they're filling the shelves back with this produce from firms that are complicit in what's going on in Palestine. And this is the same firm that in France was relabeling produce from Israel with stickers saying that it was produce from Spain or other countries. So I think that whilst the foot dragging from the officers and people in the council, I think we still have a duty that we can be out there and showing a bit of leadership. Thank you.
Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Chair. Don't think I'll be telling the wife where she should do her shopping right enough and where she gets her Jaffa oranges from. If somebody can clarify for me a couple of things. Did local, I mean, much has been made of the South African boycott scenario. Did local councils, in particular Derry City Council or Strabane District Council, actually operate a BDS in that scenario? I mean, you know, I'm long about, but I don't even remember what Strabane District Council did back then. We heard the tirade against the United States of America and their complicity. So is BDS being extended to the United States and all of their businesses? Was BDS mentioned when China was taking out Muslims within their country? Was BDS mentioned with regard to Russia and its campaign into Ukraine? All of those issues do concern me. Councillor Jackson referred to the fact this would cost council nothing, but there's a resource implication, whether you like it or not. You know, whoever is going to be putting this on the screens, etc. So there is a resource implication. And I wonder, I suppose through you, Mayor, question to our legal advisor, do we again require an 80% majority on this, given that there is this resource implication and given previous legal advice? Thank you, Mayor.
Philip, do you want to?
Just 2 seconds.
Yes, okay. In the meantime, I think I'll bring on Councillor Harkin.
Yeah, I very much welcome this proposal as a very concrete way of us expressing our solidarity with Palestine and encouraging people to participate and support the boycott, divestment, sanction campaign against apartheid Israel. And I hope that there isn't any legal obstacles to it. I can say that councils across Ireland are now voting to support BDS, which is very, very welcome. And they are also going to be trying to figure out, as we are, how to make that very, very practical and to implement it. I think that, you know, Alderman Hussey raises an issue. I think we need to challenge as a council all the regimes around the world that are committing human rights abuses. And unfortunately, the British government is actually arming a lot of them. And that's where we need to look about why is Westminster funding and supplying arms to so many regimes all across the world that slaughter people day in, day out, and that abuse their citizens and their residents. And we can have a full discussion about all those human rights abuser regimes around the world. The difference, I suppose, right now is that the boycott, divestment sanction campaign was started in Palestine by Palestinians in 2005 on the basis of saying we need to try and build a movement that you know, calls on the international community to take action against apartheid Israel. And now, 2 decades on, that movement has become massive, but it's out of Palestine. It's not something that was started in Derry. And if there was a movement out of China for a boycott movement because of the human rights abuses that the Chinese government commits. I would be backing that. Same with the United States or any other regimes. But this is the Israeli government is different. This is not about one government. This is about a regime that is enforcing ethnic cleansing, that is attempting to build a colonial settler society, and that's what we're seeing right now. So that's why BDS exists. I would recommend, if we are moving forward, and that we take our input from the boycott, divestment, sanction international movement in terms of the different companies and organisations that we would be targeting, and also the Ireland-Palestine Solidarity Campaign that has been kind of leading the focus around BDS. There's others as well. Look, there's big companies that Councillor Donnelly mentioned, like Puma, that have been complicit in apartheid, but also there's retailers like Tesco, Sainsbury's, Boots that have Israeli products, and a lot of people are trying to figure out how to support the Palestinians. And the thing is that those products aren't obvious, nor are the barcodes, but those are some of the big retailers that are going to make billions over the winter period because of Christmas. But they are selling products that are complicit in genocide. And so the more people refuse to buy them and politely ask the managers in the shops and send letters and put stickers on those products, the more successful this BDS campaign will be. And I think if we can aid in that with these social media posts, that'll be a very good thing.
Okay, Philip, are you ready to answer that?
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. In terms of Alderman Hussey's inquiry about the requirement for a qualified majority vote, that wouldn't be required in this case because there would be no direct expenditure arising out of the notice of motion, and therefore no requirement to use the general power of competence in relation to the matter. So motion would be taken forward on the same basis as outlined previously. Any motion would be taken forward from the council.
Before we move on, I just want to let Alderman Kerrigan know I have him on the list, but before I bring in Alderman Guy, I'm going to allow Councillor Tierney to come on very briefly again. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate it. It's just a very quick question in relation to the outworkings of the proposal that's before us. Are we expecting a paper to be brought back to a committee before this is actioned? Because if that's the case, then in my reading, it could be potentially February before we even have a social media post about this campaign. And I think if that's the case, we need to be aware of that now to see if there's anything that we can do to circumvent that in the meantime.
Just before I bring John on to answer that, I'm aware Councillor Donnelly also asked a question, which is waiting an answer. So maybe if you just want to rephrase the question again.
Yeah, Chair, I don't know what it is, but the last number of meetings, anytime it's in the asked questions, never get an answer, but it was about the task and finishing group and regarding independent membership.
I knew there was an
Yeah, so maybe dealing with that question first. This is a matter for members. Perhaps it can be dealt with today so we can expedite the setting up of the task and finish group. I think there are two models that are currently being used by council with regard to the setting up of working groups or task and finish groups. One model is one or two from each of the parties plus the independents. The other representative from the independents. The other model that has been used is open to all members. So it really requires a proposal from the floor to enable us to take forward one of the two models. In answer to the question from Councillor Tierney, if this notice of motion is passed today, there are probably aspects of it that can be dealt with immediately, and there are probably aspects of it that need some further consideration.
Okay, so sorry, I do have a list here now, and I want to try and be fair to all the people waiting, given that Councillor Donnelly, you received a reply regarding your question. So is there a proposal?
I think Councillor Harkin was going to come on with a proposal regarding that, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, but if you'll just allow me, Alderman Guy and Alderman Kerrigan have been waiting some time to come in, so I'm going to bring them in first. So it's over to you, Alderman Guy.
Mayor, am I okay to speak in this? It was the actual paper that I was going to speak on, not the proposal. I'm happy to wait if you want, you know.
Sorry, I just didn't quite get that. Could you repeat it, please?
Sorry. Will I just turn this off a bit? Yeah, Mayor, I was looking to come in and speak on the paper and the recommendations, rather than the proposal that's in front of us. So I can wait, or if you want me to just speak in the whole lot, I can.
Just go ahead and speak now.
Okay, okay then, Mayor, thank you. So just to back up what my colleague has said earlier, listen, nobody will tell me where I can shop, what I can buy, whether it's a Palestinian product, an Israeli product, or wherever else from. I'll still wear my Puma golf shoes. I'll still shop in Lidl. That won't change for me. But I have been contacted by employees, customers, and parents of the employees at McDonald's who did feel intimidated on at the weekend, I think it was there, where members of the BDS protested in the Foyle side about apparently McDonald's supplying the IDF. I don't know whether they do or not. I'm sure McDonald's supply a lot of people around the world. But what I wanted to come in on really was the actual paper. And that is to say that it's evident when reading through the paper that the BDS movement and what they expect corporate council to facilitate is completely as expected, not in keeping with Section 75, 76, or any other legal requirements of local government. And if wrongly implemented by council, then we would be looking at an EGIA being have to be carried out. And I just want to say, Mayor, on the recommendations on 5.2, that myself or any of my colleagues in the Ulster Unionist will not be taking their seat at the task and finishing working group, because we don't see that ratepayers' money needs wasted to carry out the BDS campaign on our doorsteps. And to be honest, so if Councillor Donnelly would like my seat at it, he's perfectly entitled to. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, Alderman, I now want to bring in Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for allowing me in. Apologies that I'm not able to attend in person today. But Mayor, in regards, I know Philip has given his view in regards to that whether a weighted majority or not is required. I personally would have had a different view on that, but as I say, we've taken legal advice in regards to that. I still feel there's an issue in regards to posting on social media. In regards, I'm minded that that is something that's coming, would be recommendations coming from a task and finish working group, whereby we seem to be bolting the horse after bolting the door after the horse is already bolted here. So I don't see that that's appropriate. But again, I see the way this is going here, and personally, Mayor, we haven't supported it earlier in the meeting, and we're not going to be supporting this at this stage in the meeting either. And I'll have to have a discussion with the colleagues, but I do feel that we would be minded, I personally would be minded not to nominate, but again, I'll have a discussion with the party colleagues and we'll see our view on that if our task and finish work group is set up. But no, just in regards to it, I don't feel that it's appropriate to be putting out social media posts at this stage until a task and finish group is going, but it's going to be done. I don't see the point in the group. But no, I want to just feel that I would oppose it at this stage, but thank you very much for allowing me in there.
Kerrigan. Look, folks, I have, I think, 4 speakers in this. I'm not taking any more. We're then going to go to the vote. I think everybody had a fair one at it, but Councillor Harkin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I was going to make one point, but just in response to Alderman Guy, look, nobody's trying to force anybody to do anything. This is about people's conscience. This is about people looking at what's happening and trying to understand why is all this violence exploded in Israel and Palestine. And it's not a green versus orange issue. In my mind, this is humanity versus barbarism, right? Because that's what genocide is. And I think that when people, 2.3 million people, are potentially being transferred out of a piece of land, out of their homes, into the neighbouring countries around it, that is what genocide looks like. And when you starve people, that is about annihilation of people. This is not something happening in the future. This is right now. So that's why this is an appeal to people's conscience, no matter where they are in the world, no matter what their station is. It's about people taking action individually or through groups actions. And there's no reason for people to be intimidated by BDS. This is all, BDS is a non-violent movement. That's the whole premise of it. It was started as a non-violent movement. And it is spread around the world. So, look, I think when people use words like intimidation, it lends itself then to potentially criminalising Palestine solidarity. And unfortunately, look, some people who are higher up and who are making a lot of money out of selling weapons to Palestine, like BAE Systems, whose profits have went up since October massively. They're very eager to kind of see a clampdown on this movement that is really about, as Gary said earlier, grassroots. But Mayor, what I wanted to propose is that you laid out the options there, and I think we should just have the working group be open to any member that wants to participate. So I would like to propose that.
Is everybody in agreement with that this working group is open to every member?
Point of order. You can't take a second proposal when there's one on the floor.
This is an addition to me.
Does it have to?
It's not a general solution, so we can't take it.
I'm being advised it's not an amendment to a notice of motion, so I can take this proposal. So is everybody in agreement with this proposal? Folks, about order. Is everybody in agreement? Yes, we'll move on then. Okay. I'm now going to go to Councillor Boyle. You're okay now?
Mayor, I was simply going to bring forward that same proposal, so it's done now.
Councillor Mooney, you've indicated you're okay too. Councillor McDade.
Thanks, Mayor. Very briefly, I was going to bring the proposal as well, but I wanted to make a point by saying that some of the independent members in this chamber are the most active on the ground with BDS, so I think it has to be open to all members. And just on the BDS thing is that by putting on this proposal on the screen, by putting social media posts out, our corporate position is that we are supporting BDS. And by putting out social media posts, it's not telling people they have to follow it. It's advising people of what it is. So it's true, it's proper, factually correct information being shared. So it's not that we're saying that because you live in our council area, you cannot buy Puma. It's saying that this is part of the BDS movement. If you want to do something individually that might have an impact, if we do it collectively, then this is the kind of rules that you might follow. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to bring it back now to our notice, Christopher.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks for everybody who spoke in support of the motion. And it's not surprising, this council has a proud track record in terms of, and particularly over the past 2 months, around expressing our support and solidarity with the people of Palestine, and that is not going to change regardless of what regardless of what pressures were put on there, either collectively or individually. But and I fully respect the views that are expressed by the Ulster Unionist Party and the DUP. They have a right to boycott a working group. The people of this city and district have a right to boycott companies that are complicit in human rights violations as well. And hopefully, as part of this, council can help inform people so they can make choices based on their conscience. So that's, I'm glad that the technicalities have been cleared up in relation to this. And if people want to boycott working groups, that's their choice. But I know from our perspective, we will be there exploring any avenue that's available to us around how we can help support the BDS movement and help it grow within this council area. So, Mayor.
Given that I feel anyway this vote is not going to be unanimous, I will be correcting that, yeah. So I'm going to ask John if he will.
Record a vote.
And it's on this amendment first and then the recommendation in the report.
Yeah. Folks, just to be clear, this is on this amendment, which will be added to the recommendation on the report. Thank you.
There'll be 2 votes.
And then there will be 2 votes.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and members. Alderman Cook,
Against.
Alderman Guy,
Against.
Alderman Hussey.
Against.
Alderman Carrigan,
Against, John.
Alderman McCready. Alderman McMorris,
Against.
Alderman Middleton,
Against.
Alderman Wilkinson,
Against, John.
Councillor Jason Barr,
Or
Councillor Lillian Barr, Councillor Raymond Barr, Councillor Raymond Barr, Councillor Boggs,
He said.
Councillor Boyle,
Or.
Councillor Cusick,
Or.
Councillor Deeney, Councillor Devine, Councillor Donnelly, Councillor Alex Duffy, Councillor Sandra Duffy, Councillor Farrell,
Or.
Councillor Fleming, Councillor Gallagher,
Or.
Councillor Harkin, Councillor Hart, Councillor Heaney, Councillor Hutton, Councillor Jackson, Councillor Leonard, Councillor Logue,
Or.
Councillor McDade, Councillor McGinley, Councillor McGowan, Councillor McHugh, Councillor Mooney, Councillor Norris, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Riley, Councillor Tierney, Councillor Neelis. Thank you, members. Mayor, I've recorded 34 and 8 against. The amendment passes.
Okay, now we're going to vote now on the original proposal. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any change to the way that people would have voted? No. No. Well, we'll just check it then that it's.
34, 8 against.
Is everybody okay with that? Perfect. Right. Folks, we are now going on to confidential. However, I am aware that we haven't had a break. I could roll on. Roll on. Okay. Everybody okay? Right. We go on to